Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We got a pretty full house tonight. This is our annual Beautification Awards. It's great to see everybody here. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on November 12th, 2024, and ask our city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Present. I'll ask Commissioner Wilson to do our invocation, and we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that we have had. Thank you for all of us who are gathered here and for the many blessings that we all have. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work. We come to you today asking for your guidance and support as we begin this meeting. Please grant us the wisdom to make the best decisions on behalf of our citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I just recognize a couple of guests we have here tonight. We have County Commissioner Richard Abraham. Thank you, Richard, and City Commissioner-elect DeJuan Thomas. Great to have you here. Take good notes. With that, I'll turn it over. Darren, you want to do the introduction here, and then we'll partner on this. Sure. Go ahead.
And just for the record, there are no additions or deletions to tonight's agenda.
Thank you.
So tonight we're excited to have Mayor Dotson with us, and Mayor Dotson has joined us as her role as the Kentucky League of Cities president to talk about some recognition that some of our team members received. And so, Mayor Dotson, if you wouldn't mind to come.
Let me just embellish Mayor Dotson for just a minute. This is Mayor Rita Dotson, the mayor of Benton, our neighbor, and she is the president of the Kentucky League of Cities. This is the trade association for all the cities in Kentucky, and so we're honored to have her here tonight, and we're particularly proud that you have gotten to that point, being president for all of Kentucky, so you're a great representative for Western Kentucky, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for letting me be here tonight. It's a great honor. I've never been to a meeting here, so it's a great honor for me. There's a few awards that have been presented to some of the employees here in the City of Paducah. I'm happy here to recognize Chief Kyle, Audra Kyle, and Claudia Meeks. Is Claudia here tonight?
Yep, Claudia's here.
Hey, Claudia. They weren't sure if you'd be here tonight or not, so, okay. Each award that was given represents a commitment of time, resources, and attention, not just by the award winners, but also by the City of Paducah. So it's a big thing for you guys to let them continue getting education. KLC strives to provide high-quality training opportunities to city officials across Kentucky when they need it, where they need it, and how they need it through our City Officials Training Center. There are now 4 levels of recognition. Level 1 is an achievement in city governments. This award goes to city officials who complete 30 or more hours of training related to city government, including an ethics course. Both Chief Kyle and Audra Kyle achieved this level 1 this year. So congratulations, you guys. And this is a big one, and I'm going to do it all together, Claudia. So level 2 is excellence in city government. This award is for city officials who have completed 60 or more hours of training, including 2 hours of ethics. Claudia Meeks, assistant city attorney, achieved her level 2 this year. Level 3 is Master of City Governance. This award requires completion of 90 or more hours of training, including 3 hours of ethics. That's a lot, isn't it, Claudia? It really is for ethics. This award represents true dedication to education and a personal time commitment, and is truly an impressive accomplishment. I'm happy to announce that Claudia Meeks, Assistant City Clerk, also achieved her level 3 this year. So big, it's really, really big, Claudia. Congratulations. For the first time ever at KLC Conference this year, we recognized individuals who achieved Certified Municipal Officer designation. This designation was created to acknowledge city officials who go above and beyond by completing 138 hours of specified training. I'm sure it won't be long before we recognize a Paducah city official for achieving this status. There is something for everyone at KLC's training opportunities, and our 2025 schedule is already up and filling up fast. So visit the website, klc.org, to see where you can get involved. And thank you all so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks, and just stay up here for just a minute, because I wanted to make sure that we recognized our city manager who actually has achieved the highest level, I believe. You want to talk a little bit about that level again?
Yes, absolutely. We'll read through that again. For the first time ever at KLC Conference this year, we recognized individuals who achieved Certified Municipal Officer designation. This designation was created to acknowledge city officials who go above and beyond by completing 138 hours of specified training. That's a
So,
lot.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
And so I just want to recognize our city manager and give him a hand.
Congratulations, Darren.
So our city manager is always recognizing our employees, our associates, and he didn't want to be recognized tonight, but I get to trump that. So, so I just wanted congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to everybody.
Yes, congratulations, and thank you all for having me.
And thank you, Mayor, for being here.
And Mayor, if you would, Mayor Dodson, if you wouldn't mind to stay up here, and then Claudia, Chief Kyle, and Audra, and Mayor.
And yourself.
If y'all wouldn't mind to come up and we get a group photo.
We're going to get a group photo.
Yes. Where do you want us, Darren?
I don't want to get in this picture. I don't want to get in this picture. Boy, girl, boy, girl.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, now we will move to our presentation of our Civic Beautification Board Business Awards. And Stacy Drake, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Brain. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us again tonight. And we're excited to give out the 2024 Business Awards. It's been a little bittersweet because Mary Hammond always did our business awards before with me, and we definitely have missed her and loved being able to dedicate a bench to her yesterday at Kyler Park. So some of the businesses this year are new businesses. Some of them are businesses who've done facelifts. Some of them are mobile businesses. They're actually a food truck who've planted in different locations throughout the town. So to start off, our first business, it's on the south side of Paducah, and that is X-Man's Barbecue. It's located at 1535 Broad Street, and the owner is Xavier Cleary. And if you would come up and get your award. With Kathy. Do you want me to too?
There's a little bit of height difference there.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Our next business is Maria's Authentic Street Taco Restaurant. It's 2516 Bridge Street. It's owned by Sergio and Maria Ortez. I think they also have some food trucks that travel around to different areas, and I've noticed they've been in Benton and Mayfield and other places, and I've heard really good things about their food too. And next, we'll move to our Midtown location where we had several new businesses that have done a lot of facelifts. The first one is Moosey's Grub Shack. And it's located at 1019 Broadway, and the owner is Justin Edwards. Hi there. Our next location is at 1806 Kentucky Avenue, and it's the M.W. Hair Studio, and the owner is Tracy DeFreitas. She may not be here. Our next location is Chroma Salon, and it's located at 1200 Broadway. The owner is Jennifer Dixon. And our next winner is the Eye Center of Paducah. She was not able to make it tonight, but she has revamped the old LabCorp building at 2301 Kentucky Avenue, and it looks so beautiful. Jennifer Gibson is the owner and the physician there as well. The next is Lone Oak is our area, and our first winner is Scooter's Coffee, who I will say makes a really good cup of coffee. They're located at 2130 Lone Oak Road. The owner is Elizabeth Gray, and then their general manager, Autumn Ratham. And I don't think they were going to be able to make it tonight. Our next Lone Oak business is also a coffee shop, coffee and wine, and they have a lot of plants. It's Evergreen. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a really beautiful place. 4677 Alvin Barkley Drive, and the owners are Chris and Jean Alford. Thank you. And now we'll move to the mall area. Who doesn't like a good steak from Logan's Roadhouse? Their location at 5137 Hinkleville Road has been totally revamped on the outside. They've painted and just given it a really good facelift. It looks really nice. The general manager is Vanessa Cooper. Is she here? Oh, that's right. You're here. And next we'll move downtown. The Cork Room. Everybody wants some shrimp and grits from the Cork Room, don't they? It's located at 225 Broadway, and our owners are Paul and Carrie Signa. I don't think they're here tonight. And the last award goes to Olson and Oliver Attorney's Office at 806 Clark Street. Of course, the owners are Kevin Olson and Jonathan Oliver. I don't think they were going to be able to make it tonight either. And that concludes our awards for this year. Thank you all.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, I missed one. It's the mall area too, Buzz Coffee. Are they here tonight? It's located at 4790 Village Square Drive, and the owners are Malay Patel. Nope, not here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stacy.
Hey, Mayor, I think it's important to recognize also that on the Beautification Board, we've got Mayor Montgomery's daughter here, as well as she was a commissioner. And then we have Commissioner P.J. Grumley, who was a commissioner here for, how long? 19 years. It's a long time. And P.J. was actually really helped me when I first got elected. So nice people, and they're still giving back to the community, their families.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the Civic Beautification Board does such great work in the community. We thank you so much for all of this and the quilt show, what you do in the spring, and the dogwood trails, really important to the community. So thank you very much. Congratulations to all the winners. We'd love to have you stay, but you don't have to. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to exit if you'd like.
Get away now while you can.
Congratulations, everybody. Thank you.
We should have our next meeting at one of the restaurants.
So now we're going to move, we've asked the developers of our new hotel, which is close to the Civic Center, which is going to be a Marriott Aloft. Vincent Troitsy, I'm going to make sure I don't butcher your name. Sorry, Vincent, I've never pronounced the last name. But Vincent's here to provide a little bit of background and a presentation on our new Aloft Hotel. Welcome, Vincent.
Hey, everyone.
You can lift that up.
Thanks for having me tonight. Vincent Troisi.
Great.
It's all right. It happens a lot. Name is Vincent Troisi. I represent National Hospitality, LLC. We're going to be putting up the 120-room Marriott Aloft, located right next to the Holiday Inn, downtown Riverfront. Super excited about this project. I think it's going to bring a lot of life to the downtown area and drive more business to the local establishments. We're estimating approximately 30 to 35 jobs created from this hotel. And along with the real estate tax dollars, about, hundreds of thousands over the next decade that the city is going to be able to use. And very excited for the opportunity. And we've been working with the city for a couple months now on this project. And we have some slides from the Marriott prototype. Oh, here we go. This is the XYZ bar. It's going to be located either in the lobby or on the rooftop of the 4-story hotel. Pool table, some light eats, full service bar, and a little hangout area. As you can see, it's a nice, very nice modern design that we can put our touches on as we see fit. This is some more photos for some of the meeting space area and lounge area, and some information on the XYZ bar. Typical prototype layout for the Marriott Aloft. This is going to be a 4-story build, like I said, swimming pool and outdoor greenery area. Gym, conference room, typical hotel. Here's some pictures of the rooms. Sorry, a little tough to see. That is all that I have. If there's any questions, would that be now or would that be later?
No, it'd be now.
Sure.
I have a question. It's beautiful, and loft hotels are really nice to stay at, so kudos for y'all bringing that to Paducah. We appreciate it. I've been getting some questions about there's a nice tree on that lot. You've probably heard about it.
Yes, I have.
And would you all be able to make any accommodations to try to save it?
Yes. So just had that question brought up by Darren this week, and it's a beautiful tree. It's like full, very healthy. So we're going to do everything in our power to incorporate that into the design. it might be a little tricky because parking is a little limited, but we're going to do everything we can to keep it in. It might work out since it's kind of towards the back of the lot where the outdoor area might be. So it could work. I'm going to run it by our team and our architect and see what we can do.
That'd be great. I don't know if it's in our power to grant a waiver for parking and be adequate parking or.
Yeah. Well, and actually, yes, we would be doing that, and we've started the process with the Planning Commission to rezone that property. That went last week through the Planning Commission. There will be a variance request to come when we get into the development stage in relationship to parking requirements and things, which is not uncommon. We have those that come in with apartment complexes, other hotels, and that type of thing. So very amenable to looking at that, and then we have some other parking access available as well to help for overflow.
Yeah, appreciate that. The timeline for construction is lining up with the sports complex and the greenery area that's planned for adjacent to the flood wall that our site is lined up against. So if all things work out equal, it's going to be really nice down there in 2 or 3 years. We're excited, and hopefully, like I said, it drives a lot of revenue towards the downtown businesses and kind of revitalizes that downtown area.
When do you anticipate groundbreaking?
We are anticipating end of Q1, Q2 next year, 2025.
And is the XYZ bar just a name you're calling it, or is that the name of it?
That is the typical, that comes with the Marriott Aloft prototype.
Okay, that's the name of it?
XYZ bar, yeah. I just had a call with our team to see if we could put that on the rooftop, which would be really nice with a water view overlooking the river.
That would make a lot of people happy if you could do that. And I was just stayed at that hotel out in Wilmington, and they had a rooftop bar that was really nice.
Yeah, no, it'd be really nice. So we're making best efforts to get that done within our budget and, within the city's permission.
So if you wanted to call that bar like the Irvin Cobb XYZ, would that, how much flexibility do you have?
I can look into that. The George Bray Inn.
No. Maybe 75 years from now.
So very excited. It'll be a good fit with the sports complex coming up. There's going to be a lot of people with needing places to stay.
Vincent and his partners have been, they're very familiar with Paducah. They own apartments, and they're also looking at some other development opportunities. And I think what makes this kind of special for us is that, Vincent and Joseph and Paul and all the partners, because they're so familiar with Paducah, they've been here a lot. And they're familiar with the area. They've seen the development. They've got boots on the ground. And I think that's helped you guys make this decision. You had your ear to the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been coming here for about 6 or 7 years now with the apartment complexes that we own in town. And it was kind of a natural development seeing the Holiday Inn right next to our site is always filled up. And I usually like to stay downtown when I come in town. It's either the Holiday Inn or Airbnbs. So there really isn't too many hotel options downtown. So, yeah, very excited.
Okay.
Have you had an opportunity to view some of our city priorities, one being minority inclusion, and knowing how important it is to this commission that we are able to place minorities in important positions in terms of construction and all those kinds of things?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely open to that. And we fair opportunity for everybody, and looking forward to including all walks of life.
Thank you.
Okay, great, Vincent. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There's no separate discussion on these items unless one of our board members so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will please read the items recommended for approval.
Approve minutes for the October 22nd, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the agreement with Tyler Technologies for an increase in the amount of $600 related to the exchange of the pre-planning portion of the fire prevention mobile licensing and flow MSP licensing, bringing the total contract to $6,000. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Equator in the amount of $88,057.50 for the purchase of recording software and hardware to meet the capabilities of the new P25 radio system. A municipal order approving and authorizing the Board of Commissioners of the Paducah Water Works to accept the Cleaner Water Program Grant Assistance Award and approving the grant assistance agreement with the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. A municipal order approving and authorizing the execution of a subordination agreement between the City of Paducah and Independence Bank. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Sprocket Incorporated in a total amount not to exceed $100,000, with $75,000 being allocated to provide small business development and entrepreneurial programs, and up to $25,000 being allocated for reimbursement of financial audit. A municipal order authorizing the city manager to reject all proposals for the Robert Coleman Spur Ground project. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute an application for a Kentucky Fire Commission thermal imagers grant in an amount not to exceed $3,250 for purchase of a thermal imager.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And before we go much further, I guess I should have done this earlier. Welcome our city clerk back
Thank you.
from maternity leave, and she has a beautiful little girl, right, who I've gotten to see a time or two. So welcome back. And I also want to thank our Assistant City Clerk, Claudia Meeks, who did an admirable job while you were out. No, but you were missed, so welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, from here, we'll move to, we have one municipal order to approve, and I'll ask the city clerk to read it, please.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Contract with Jim Smith Contracting Company, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $20,413,644.86 for the Paducah Riverfront Infrastructure Improvement Project build."
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so I'll just introduce this quickly. This is the Riverfront Development Build Project, the Build Grant Project that we've been working on a long time, and I'm going to turn it over to Darren and let him introduce, our two folks, and so everybody gets a good view and understands where we've been, where we've come from, and kind of where we are today.
So thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Commission, tonight I've asked our interim city engineer, Greg, and Melanie, another team member in engineering, to kind of walk us through. They have been heavily involved in this project and working through the negotiations with our community partners. As the commission will recall, and the members of the community may even remember, this has been a project that's been long in the making, started way before my tenure, and the first iteration of trying to go for federal funds to help this project was not successful. Unfortunately, it was a very competitive grant. The city, engaged some community partners in help to rewrite the grant, and in 2019, we were awarded $10.4 million from Maritime Administration towards this project, and with great assist from our federal delegation in helping us get that. That allowed us to begin the planning process. and really get into the design and looking how we could re-envision the riverfront downtown. The initial scope of the project, once it was initially designed and met all of the environmentals, we this summer put that out for bid for the construction aspect of it. We had a lone bidder, and that was Jim Smith Contracting, that came in with a construction bid of $26 million. And that was a shock because that's not what we were looking at the market and not looking at what the anticipated construction aspect of that alone. And I make that distinction because when we talk about the project as a whole, it's more than just construction because we have other activities that go into it. And so we went to our federal partners, we came to this commission and asked for permission to begin negotiations if our federal partners would allow to see what we could do without changing the scope of the project, and where it is a multimodal project. It is not only for the river, but it is pedestrian and bike and vehicular addressed. So the build grant had to have all those components. And so in those conversations and negotiations over the last several months, how we could move forward with keeping the scope as envisioned, with tweaking the design a little bit, what allocations, reductions we might be able to reach. And at this point, I will turn it over to our team there in engineering to take us from there.
Thank you. Evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. As the City Manager said, we spent a lot of time reviewing the proposed project and figuring out where we can find cost-saving opportunities. Sometimes that led to the removal of certain items or modifications for cheaper alternatives. The most impactful change to the project was reducing the dock component by 200 feet and narrowing it from a 25-foot wide pier to 20 feet. This, the 200-foot section then was replaced with what we'll call a sidewalk, a 15-foot sidewalk to allow access. Those changes basically result in a adjustment to the highest levels of water use for the dock. So it's a small change in the overall operating capacity at which the dock can function. Like I said, that was the primary savings opportunity. Several others were more cosmetic in nature. And that's how we were able to, like I said, reduce the project from the $26 million bid down to where we are today.
So up on the screen and in front of you, Commission, you have the way it was, the project was originally envisioned. And we'll let Melanie just talk a little bit about the different aspects. We have the 3 boxes and how we stayed true to the scope of the project while doing some of these modifications to allow for us to reduce the price.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sure you all remember seeing this. We've used this overview concept since about 60%. So in the overall scheme of things, it won't look very different than this. We'll have a few minor changes. This is over beside the convention center. The main change here is instead of it being a auto line going parallel to the flood wall, that's going to only be pedestrian multimodal. So that's really the main.
So that goes away. Is that what you're saying?
The
parking?
driving lane goes away. The normal driving lane where everybody likes to park when y'all have your breakfasts, and so I'm sorry you won't be able to park there any longer. But this will be a multimodal walking, biking pathway instead.
Okay.
And we're trying to work this. Everybody knows that this intersection is crazy, and so trying to work through that. Rick did a lot of studying and looking at different designs on how to make that a safer, more friendly auto and pedestrian-friendly intersection. So,
Yeah, and just for point of reference, and so to the left of that screen, the parking area that you see up on the screen or in your packet, that is the existing parking area of the convention center.
Yes.
And so as Melanie was mentioning, in that area, we have a lot of drive-through. And so we reconfigure the parking area to allow for inside the flood wall to the area to have that being pedestrian-friendly there.
yes,
Yes.
they won't actually lose any parking
Parking,
spots. The convention center
Center.
had actually requested that they put up no parking signs along the flood wall here. So we are extending the green space so that it'll be more out to here. So you'll just be able to walk or bike through there. You can't bring a vehicle down through there.
So do we have a design of what it's going to look like? This is the old design, right?
I don't have a picture of it. It's
Okay.
like, all we would have would be like actual engineered plans.
Okay.
So how do people leave then, that parking area?
This will still be open.
So they'll go, instead of coming down the straight, they'll go all the way
They'll
around.
have to
They'll
come around,
and-
yes. So you don't have two cars coming at each
Each other.
other here in that intersection. So that was one of the main goals of the reconfiguration, and you won't have the chute any longer.
Will the road in front of Holiday Inn become two-way?
No. No. Now, you'll still be able to go out the back too and come around on Sixth Street, and you'll be able to come out on Fifth Street. Yeah. So, like I said, we have discussed all of this with the convention center, so they are on board and understanding of that was the main tweak right in that area, was that, turning that from a driving area to a more of a walk.
Well, the convention center may be fine with it. We're all thinking about how it's going to inconvenience us.
Well, like I said,
Always go the back way out.
or you can't
Right.
park along there. I think that's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the main change in that area, and that really didn't impact the costs. I mean, it was just more grass.
It would be great at some point, I don't know if there's a cost to this, but to get some sort of diagram of the final product, so with these changes made.
We'll ask that our partner
Okay.
do that, where it looks, it's just, until we had a final design, it does cost money for them to do that work. It's just, it's staff time. And then this is the commons area, the transient dock landing area. You know, we don't really have a name for it, but this is AKA the SCAR.
Yeah. We've been referring to it going forward as the pedestrian mall area.
Okay, the pedestrian mall area. So this area is, a lot of it's the same. We looked at doing concrete instead of pavers, but once we factored in the cost of stamping and coloring the concrete, which is very, very labor intensive, the pavers were basically the same cost. So we're going to be able to do the decorative pavers as originally designed. In this design, the main things that went away were the swings. We had those, I don't know if y'all remember seeing the big, kind of, not playground swings, but big swings that, to look at for adults to sit in and look over the river. Those were almost $500,000. So when we thought that that was something that we could do without, maybe do later, but that's just we're trying to
call.
bring it was a pretty. It wasn't a necessity, it was a pretty. And so with that happening, these three concrete areas will go away because that's where the swings were gonna sit. So we'll still have some, the greenway benches that you see on the path now. There'll be a couple of those down there for people who are biking through there and need to rest, or are walking and need to rest. So we will have that. There'll be some picnic tables down there for people to take their lunch and go down and sit in front of the river, since we've cleaned off that bank and you can see the river from this area now. We did cost savings mainly through some minor changes in materials in this area, but it's gonna look a lot like it. Now, I don't know if there's gonna be that many trees. our landscape architect that does the drawings for us, Jonathan Perkins with BFW, does an excellent job, but he really likes trees. He puts a lot of trees on the plans, so.
Don't make fun of trees,
No,
whatever you
no,
do.
we like trees. We like
Because,
trees. But there will be trees. I'm not gonna, there's a lot of trees, it shows a lot of trees. So, but we will have trees and bushes and native grasses so that it will be a green area, nice place to go picnic or take your kids and throw a frisbee and all of those things.
I would just say that's an area that, you know, if there's an opportunity to splurge a little, you know, on trees, I think it would be, I think it would bring a lot of, I don't know, amenities, make it a much more comfortable space.
There
so.
will definitely be
I agree.
trees. There will definitely be trees out there.
And that's also an area that we can take out of the construction budget, and so we're not paying a contractor, you know, where we can look at internally how we
Right.
can, and save some
Right, if
dollars
we
there
wanna
as
come-
well.
Yeah, if we.
Right.
We can
wanna
go
come
cut a
in and
deal on trees.
that's
Add
right.
more trees later. Trees are good.
This area also is the area where we'll have, you know, a design for big events that, you know, special events like barbecue on the river and that type of thing going forward, festivals. But for orientation's sake, as we were talking and Vincent was explaining earlier about the Aloft Hotel, yeah, it would be just down to the left of the circle to the lower half on that side of the
Right here,
wall. It's in that area. And then the Compass Rose is actually a vehicular area that will still come out of that area and have only thing, but it also will be able to shut that down for special events as well.
Any other
Okay, no?
questions on that section? All right. This is the section that we've talked about, looked at, engineered, re-engineered. This is the pier. The pier area will be up at so you're looking at Broadway over here. This is the big, we call the Christmas tree opening. And then this is the Jefferson Water Street opening. So those will all stay. I mean, they'll still be there. But we have the pier that goes out into the water. And Greg was talking about how we were going to shorten the pier about 200 feet. So that's going to put the end of the pier basically right here in this area. So this will be a walkway that goes all the way up and still connects. And it'll be a 5% slope. It'll be ADA accessible because that was one of our main reasons for designing the pier was, I mean, anybody who's been to the foot of Broadway knows, you know, the slope is very hard for anyone with any kind of physical disability to get up. So this is an ADA accessible pier. The walkway will be ADA accessible as it brings them up into downtown Paducah.
And then one of the other changes in this area, as you look at that picture, you know, you notice that the opening had kind of an overlook, or promenade that you would look out. You know, that was changed to bring some steps down
Yes,
to the pier, and so you don't have to walk all the way around to the end and then come back, and so you do have access from that opening, and that will be your next slide, I think you're going to get to.
We're gonna look at the revised profile of the pier. So you're gonna be out in the river and you're gonna be looking back at Paducah. And so the pier is gonna look like this. So you've got boats, this will be low water docking, and as the water goes up, the boats go up. And this here becomes a,
Or they tie off.
freestanding pier. Sorry. Yeah. This will be, you know, sheet piling wall, and it'll be back against the bank. But once you get to this point, it will be a freestanding pier. But yes, those are the monopiles that the boats will tie up to, Commissioner Smith, yes.
And so what we lost by reducing the 200 feet was the possibility of a boat docking at a very high level of river.
Yes.
And what percentage, I mean, can you talk about what that means?
It all depends on weather at any given time as far as those water levels. You're talking about the uppermost 10 feet, but that's not, 10 feet out of a possible 40 is not 25%. We're talking the river levels get there maybe 5% of the time in a given year. It just varies. So it's only at those highest water levels, and at those points, the boats would have to go to the foot of Broadway like they do now.
So we're not losing them docking, it's just, they have to change the way they do
Yes, yes, they could still dock it.
And really, when the
Broadway.
when the water's that high, do boats come in, I mean,
You wouldn't get a lot of traffic, but you might have some that are maybe trapped and looking for somewhere to tie
right.
up.
Okay.
I mean, can I ask you something? I know when we did our jut out, it caused the river to drop silt, behind the transient dock.
Yes.
I see this is a little bit of a jut out. What is
It's hard to see, I mean, the perspective is hard here, but one of the reasons it is elevated was the word I was trying to come up with, sorry. It's elevated to allow free flow of water.
Underneath it.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it.
It's just got a
Straight
pier.
down.
Yeah,
I see
right.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
This would be the last part of the, anything that would catch, and there's nothing behind, there's no way to catch it behind it. So yes, that was a very, deliberate design choice to make sure that we don't have another siltation issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any questions from anybody?
Let's get it done. It's been a long time coming. I know Melanie and I are from looking at each other from the beginning.
All right, there's the lead in.
So I will just finally say that, thank you to Greg and Melanie and the team they have put a lot of time and effort and left really no aspect of it without scrutiny. They've just done a great job of trying to get us to this point. And, in the grand scheme of things, $5.5 million reduction on their efforts. I just say thank you for the hard work.
But still, it's a big project, and we've got federal money, state money, and our own community money invested in it. So I think it's a great project for our community.
And ultimately, less than 50% local dollars.
Okay, so what are we voting on?
So the staff recommendation for you tonight, the municipal order, is to go ahead and sign the construction contract with Jim Sniff Contracting for the construction portion of this. That will allow us to get documents signed, allow them to mobilize, and I believe that they said once we get everything going, that maybe 3 to 5 days they could be mobilized and start doing some work.
Right, yes. They are anxious to get started. They've been a great partner to work with. I just want to be sure that we recognize that. A lot of contractors wouldn't have been as open and willing to work with us to find ways to make this happen. And all of the subcontractors have been very, very open to working with us.
That's great.
They're going to build some of this off-site, off-river, and bring it in.
Yeah, that's a great point, Commissioner. Thank you for that. And one of the cost-saving measures that our subcontractor Mahan looked at was, instead of doing a pour-in-place concrete pier, moving forward with this contract at this time would allow them during the winter months to design and prefab a portion of that off-site and then be able to bring it in place starting next construction season and start building there. They still would have to come in from the river, but instead of doing a pour-in-place type project, they would do some prefab work on that. You want to speak a little bit more to that, Greg or Melanie?
Well, it's, like you said, it allows them to get a head start. They can be working over the winter to precast the concrete elements of the pier, and then when the construction season allows, they would be able to bring them in downriver and start assembling.
What is the projected completion date?
Mahan feels that they can build the pier next year. Their goal is to come in spring and start work and finish by late fall, early winter. The end of our grant money is February of 2027. So Jim Smith Contracting doesn't feel like they'll have any problem doing the land side of the work within the time frame. So,
Man, so it might be
24.
2027 or?
yeah, it will be probably
27 or 26?
Well, we'll start, yeah, it's
27.
about an 18 to 24-month construction.
Right, I mean, if you think, we're almost done with 24.
Yeah,
What did I say? Am I back, am I
Yeah, no, you're
confusing
right.
myself?
yeah,
They're
so
gonna-
starting
they're gonna
25.
build in
2-year
25.
Yeah, so 18 to
You're
24
allowing.
months,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then we're allowing into the next summer
Because
to do
27, so
of
it-
26.
26.
Yeah,
and then finish by 27, no, you're right, yeah.
27.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
you say, what'd you
Late
say, Commissioner, Yes,
26.
2.5 years?
I thought a year and a half. I thought,
Yeah.
18 months, yeah, 18 to
So
24
18 to
months.
20.
So that would be into 26.
yes.
18
of
months would be the
26.
end of 26.
Right.
Yes,
But
and
you have
so-
the river seasons that come into play in that,
Right.
and so we've,
Yeah, I would just caution us,
I know.
you know, not to, I do not expect it to be done in that time. Just, I know we push, but.
I hope Jim Smith's listening to you, right?
I
I hope they're not, because I hope they hurry up.
get it done, that's right.
I'm just
Right.
telling you.
No, they'll take it as a challenge.
I hope they
I
do.
want them to.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. On these precast concrete, are we losing anything as far as the robustness of the
I asked
construction?
that question as well. It's a great question. Greg?
Since you're the
The
engineer.
short answer, no. It's just a different method that, in this case, would allow for, it works better with the time frame, and it's equal quality of product.
And they have to meet that standard, to meet on the, yep.
Yes.
They actually even said it can be a superior product because they're doing it in a climate control.
environment.
You know, you don't have all the possibility of it getting cold, getting wet, and all that. So, yes, that was one of the things that we did ask them about.
Okay. Any other questions? I would ask our city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
I
Thank
think
you all.
that,
Appreciate all your work.
that almost runs a round of applause to get to that
I know,
point.
I wanted to. Shed a few tears.
That was a big moment.
That's right.
It really is a big moment.
No,
This is
it
a
really
big
is.
project for us.
Okay, we have 3 ordinances to introduce tonight, and I'll ask our city clerk to please read the first one.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Chapter 2, Division 5, Fire Department of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah to update antiquated language and to remove language that is already covered by the contract with IAFF Local 168.
So moved.
Second.
Good evening,
Chief?
Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, City Clerk. The summation that the clerk gave there pretty well highlights it. What we have done is, this ordinance has been around for a long time, and there were, for whatever reason, there were a lot of elements that were in the contract that were also in the ordinance, and sometimes they didn't get updated or matched, and there's really not a need for it. In talking with the clerk, all of the elements that were in the ordinance that are also covered in the contract is an ordinance too, so we didn't see that we needed 2 ordinances to cover the same material. So we've got, what we did is we pulled all of the contract items out. They are covered under the contract that is also an ordinance. And then we updated some language in that ordinance that was a little bit outdated to match what we're doing today. One of the key things I'll draw your attention to is that we're lowering the hiring age to 18. This goes to support our program that we have in the high school, and we haven't talked a lot about that yet. Do plan to bring that to you. We're in the hub teaching young students to become firefighters today, and we're excited about that program. I've talked to you about it a little bit there, Commissioner Henderson, and we'll tell you more about that at a later date, and that's not what tonight's about. But we're excited about that and have hopes of growing and recruiting our own right here in Paducah. So that's one of the elements. We wanted to support hiring out of high school. If we're going to have this program in high school, we should be able to hire them when they come out, and that's where the lowering the age to 18 is. Other than that, it's just cleanup of language, updated ethics language that Stacy wanted us to make some improvements to, and just closely mirror what our business practice is today for this ordinance update.
Wow, I just wanted to ask, I mean, that's the first time I'd ever thought about that hiring age coming down.
Well,
That's very
I
interesting.
lowered it once a few years ago to 19, and at that time I was trying to steer them more to the community college and then on to us. But what we've learned, there's a gap where we're losing them, and now that we have the program in the high school now, we've got real opportunity to recruit from home before these kids have an opportunity to move away. And we're excited about that. This is the first semester that we have had this program in play. Our training chief is teaching that program every day during the week, and we're really excited about what the fruits of that could yield.
Is that the trend around the country? I mean, are we ahead of the pack or kind of catching up?
I think we're on
or-
the leading edge of it. I'm not going to say we're leading it. There are other communities in the state that are doing it, but there's not a lot, and we're the only one around here. So I'm super excited about that.
If you hire them at 18, you still put them through extensive,
They still go to the academy. Even with the training, think of the training really as an orientation that they're getting in high school. They're getting, introduced to concepts and tasks and doing the job. They would still need to go off to the academy that we send everyone to.
And how long is that?
13 weeks.
Okay.
And that's at Greenville. That's close too.
I think it's a great opportunity. Absolutely.
I think you might want to maybe do some mentoring. Maybe you do have that. They're still young at
Right.
18. But I understand that gap of losing them. So, I mean, they still go through extensive training. You probably do that anyway, have them teamed up with somebody maybe that's been around for a while, just to answer questions for them.
We try to do that, and going to the academy helps build that camaraderie with whoever they get hired with as well. So, the training chief, he spends a lot of time at the academy, even though we're not running our own anymore. He still goes up there quite a bit. And that way they don't lose that link with the department while they're gone. And it really has yielded good results for us in bringing back, people that are ready to go to work. We still have to craft them just like any department would. You want to craft them to how you specifically do things, but it gives them that good base that they need to get started for the job. And with the change in the retirement, you hear a lot about the retirement on the public sector, and it does impact us. And they're going to be working for a long time, so the sooner we can get them, the better off we'll be.
I'd imagine we'd have to do some other things too. I hate to see us train and then they go to some other community.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some policies in place that we've implemented, police and fire, public safety, where there's contracts that are required to be signed, and so.
How long do they have to work for us before they can go? If we train them, they're committed to the department for.
We have 5 years, I believe.
I think it's 5. I can't remember off the top of my head, Commissioner.
But that doesn't prevent them from transferring, just means if they go to,
Pay the money back.
they have to pay the money, yes.
Yeah.
Or if they go to another department, then that department would, they would work with that on the contract. A little bit different from the way it's codified at state law with the police department. But we're also working to try to get that, on the fire department, because that's an issue across the state too. To your point, is that a community spends the money, invests the money to build up, and then, somebody
Offers
comes.
more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not been
Recruits
as
them
much
away.
of a problem for the firefighters in the fire service. It's been more of a problem for paramedics across the state. So we're lagging a little bit behind in that regard, but we're seeing it happening already. And, and even in instances where they're just leaving the fire service altogether because the pension's different.
What's the starting pay? for somebody coming right out of the academy? Stephanie, do you know?
52 after the first year, I think. That sound right? Ish.
Yeah. Low 50s after the end of the first
Yeah,
year.
I mean, it's hard to explain, you know, really, we only want to give them the first year, at the end of the first year, because what you start at in 6 months, and there's all those factors, and then you get incentive pay on top of that, and you go to overtime. So the 1 year mark's really the better number to give someone we're trying to recruit of what you're realistically going to make.
Okay. Any other questions? I think we got another ordinance to introduce, and you're still up, so
Yes, sir, I am.
I'll ask our city clerk to read that one.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 46 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Chapter 46 of the Paducah Code of Ordinances to add language requiring any owner of a business or residential structure to change or update an address or property identifier within 30 days of notification of an address revision by the Fire Prevention Division. This ordinance also creates a new section to outlay the process for warnings, penalties, and enforcement of the ordinance requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Chief?
So we've had the ability to assign addresses for a long time, but we've never had the ability to enforce that, to tell you that you have to use the address that we're giving you. We, the city, are the authority for assigning addresses inside the city limits, just like the PVA's the authority in the county. Where this is important is with 911. If your address is 3000 Wayne Sullivan, which happens to be Station 2, but you want 3020 Wayne Sullivan, that's not okay. There's a method that we have on the books in the ordinance called our addressing standard, in which addresses are assigned, and that information gets audited by the state for our 911 money. So it's directly tied to money we receive from the state through an audit. So if we have someone out there, and it does happen from time to time, the reporter was asking me earlier if I could think of somebody off the top of my head, and I couldn't. But if you turn in 3020, I'm going to come back and tell you it's 3000, and that's the address you have to display on your building, and that is the address that's going to be entered into the 911 system for us to respond. And if you don't do that, we have to have a penalty section in order to follow up with that to make it happen.
Does that happen much?
It happens enough to impact our audit.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So I was over on Madison Street picking up a yard sign, and the addresses are all, you know, at this particular stretch of Madison, there was 2600, 2580, you know, is farther away than 2600 from the river, you know, in that stretch. Does that
Right.
ever get
We
corrected?
try to correct things like that. You know, some of this stuff has existed for a long time, so we try to correct those over time as businesses get sold or houses get torn down or new structures get built. That's how we try to address those, so as to not upset the apple cart and have folks calling all the time. So I don't want folks to walk away saying, hey, we're going to come out there and change everybody's address that automatically needs to be changed.
Right.
Because there are a lot out there, and that's happened all over time. What we're trying to do is make sure that the addresses that we assign today, whatever we give you is what you have to use. You can't just arbitrarily change it on your own, because the Postal Service does not care. Whatever you turn into them is what they're going to deliver your mail to. So that's where it gets caught, to your point, Commissioner. They turn in, we give them one thing, they turn in something else to the post office, and post office is going to deliver to whatever you give them. Now, we send our notices to the post office too, but both sides have to meet. So we just have, we stumble across them, the audit identifies them, and we've got to follow up on those to get them corrected so that we can continue to receive that money that helps us fund 911.
I've never seen that one, but on 19th Street, there's 5 or 6 homes that it goes.
Yeah, there's a lot,
up,
there's a
goes
lot
back
of those
down, it goes
instances
back
out
up.
there around the
Yeah.
city that have been there for a long, long
Yeah,
time.
just-
Yeah,
It kind of makes you wonder how it ever got started.
it does. You drive yourself crazy looking into it. Please.
Yeah. And
It's going
Believe
to
me.
sound crazy, but is there a way in which a resident particularly can change their,
That's where I
not
thought it was
accept
going.
their address because it goes against religious beliefs, like 666, Mark of the Beast? You know, I mean, there's some things.
I believe we have a method for appeal in here. If memory serves here,
Yeah.
there's a, yes,
So they
there
could
is
just
a,
not move there.
there is a way for this to be appealed.
Eliminate that, I wouldn't want
Well,
to.
if they're already there.
So it's not just, you know, it's not just our authority. If they want to appeal it, they can.
That's the question I'm.
Yes, sir. And we got lots of changes going on with 911. It's addressing has been in chapter 46 now for a while. That's why it's still there. If it gets moved somewhere down the road, it's ready to package and go. We just have to have a way to enforce it. And right now, the code enforcement folks or the fire marshals will be the folks that have to end up enforcing it at the end of the day anyway.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or thoughts? Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
The last ordinance we have to introduce, I'll let the city clerk please read it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 78 Personnel, Article 2 Benefits and Leaves, and Article 3 Compensation of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Chapter 78, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances to include Veterans Day, November 11th, as a day during each calendar year on which city employees will be granted a holiday.
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. I'm back with Chapter 78 again, this time with a much shorter list of changes. We are just adding Veterans Day as a city-recognized holiday in appreciation for those who have and continue to serve, as well as an increased benefit for city employees. Any questions?
Yeah, my question, how many paid holidays does the city have?
This will put us at 13.
Okay. And how's
Counting
that
a
compared?
floating holiday.
And that
That's
compares
comparative to-
favorably with the county?
Yeah.
So are we aligned day for day with the county?
We are not.
Not, the county still has Good Friday as a holiday that we do not.
There-
but-
And then we have,
I'm sorry, Stephanie. what?
They are at 14.
Yep,
And this will put us at 13.
13.
okay. And,
If the commission wanted to add Good Friday as part of it, can definitely do that to make it aligned.
I think it's a
well,
good idea.
let's take it one day at a time, okay? And no further questions. Pay myself
I'm just
into.
glad we got this in after Veterans Day.
Well, and that's one of the things as we looked at is we start setting the holiday schedule, early on. And so we wanted to make sure that, to get that for not let it to go another year without bringing it forward.
So you were cussing us all day on Veterans Day.
No, we enjoyed that nice celebration yesterday across the park. And
That was pretty funny, Commissioner Smith.
It is difficult to add a holiday this late in the year as well for this year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Okey dokey.
Thank you.
That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, now we'll turn to a discussion. Earlier, we voted in, starting construction on the Bill Grant project. Now we've got to make sure that we can pay for it, and so there's some strategies that we're going to employ around that, and I'll let the city manager and our finance manager talk through this discussion.
Okay, thank you. Mayor and Commission, in front of you tonight, you have a packet that at the top of the first page says 2025 GOB, and basically want to start from the back end and looking at the options. The riverfront development project that you approved tonight, to get us to complete that project versus the funds that we've already allocated for it, the federal dollars that we have, the state dollars, $3.5 million, thanks to our legislature this past year, still leaves us about a $4.5 million delta that we would have to come up with in relationship to finishing that project. The larger aspect of the bond discussion tonight, however, centers around something that we're already committed to, and that is our half of the Paducah Sports Park. Under the ILA that was entered into with the county on that, the city and the county agreed to split the cost of that in as a half of that cost. Previously, you have approved a $65 million project that did not include a championship field and did not include the renovation to the grandstand area, or what ultimately ended up being a demolition of the grandstand area and a reconfiguration. So all in, with adding the championship field back in, if both bodies were to approve, all three bodies, I'm sorry, because the Sports Tourism Commission is a partner in that. If they approved of adding in back the championship field in the future, and the renovation of that area that would be the entranceway to the facility where the grandstands were, we, in talking with our county counterparts and looking in the Sports Tourism Commission, anticipate that that could be a $4 to $5 million additional add for that. If you recall that there was an estimation of about $9 to $11 million just for the grandstand area previously. So if you look at the potential of another $5 million, that means that of the Paducah Sports Park, we would still have a delta on our side of the $70 million that would be total project cost, less the $25 million that had been previously committed, 12.5 from the city, from our 2020 bond, and so that gets us to our portion of needing $22.5 million going forward to make our commitment. I'll come back. Yeah, I'll come back to the to that. If you go to the third page there on this, you'll have of your packet. I think maybe is this where you're going, Commissioner?
I'm going with us paying half.
Yeah.
Where does the Sports Commission come in?
So what the ILA said was that the county's Sports Tourism Commission, the 3% bed tax that they implemented for that to fund the Sports Tourism Commission, 80% of those dollars that it came in annually, starting 1 year in advance of the first bond payment, had to be set aside for that. Right now, we get about $1.3 million, $1.35 million goes into that annually. That's, I mean, that fluctuates year to year, but roughly an estimate, 3%, the Sports Tourism Commission on that 3% tax is collecting about $1.35 million. So if you take 80% of there is about a little over $1 million that would go towards debt payment. And so both city and the county would split that $1 million, just round it down, to go towards debt payment. And so that would come off of our annual debt payment service requirement.
So we're bonding half of it, but we're getting money back from the Sports Commission to help make that payment as
right.
their part of the payment.
That, as under the ILA, that was what the funds were set aside, yes. 80% of that annual. Now, there is, the opportunity, I guess, if the city and the county and Sports Tourism Commission agreed to adjust that 80% number, for future to look at. But as you bring more hotel rooms on, then that number is going to go up.
Yeah, so how does that affect it? Let's say 5 years from now, there's more hotel rooms, and that 1.3 becomes 1.8. So we got an extra $500,000 a year, which is half for us and half for the county.
Towards debt payment, right. So if you're, if you think about, if we split it in half, our side of an annual debt service on the Paducah Sports Park, estimated at today's rates, and Finance Director has been more involved with the conversation with our bond counsel, and so please correct me if I'm wrong. But, is about $1.67 million, our half. And so you put that together, 80%, so to your point, 80% of any annual dollars that come in on that 3% would go. So whatever that number is, if it's, 1.3, if it's 1.5, 80% is set aside.
Okay, so let me ask the question again. So if there was an extra $500,000 a year, so 80% of that
Would be set aside and split between the two
would be
parties.
400,000, is that right?
100 apiece.
200
apiece, and that would go toward the bond payment?
Yes. And that's the way it's right now. And again, there's an opportunity if, if both bodies, all three bodies wanted to get together and say, well, the 80%, we want to move that to 85% or 90%, you're not prohibited from looking at that, going forward. But as it sits right now, what's been adopted is 80%.
I think that was to ensure that they were going to have the money that they need to
Right.
operate it to begin with.
Yep. And then that's going for the debt payment, and then the other side, yes, for operational fees and other things that they're taking on. So if, if you look at between those two projects, $27 million bond payment, or I'm sorry, bond issuance, at 20 years, it's roughly about $2 million at today's rates. And, by the time you do that, up or down a little bit on that, and how that would flesh out is of that 2 million, not to go back to your 666 number.
I'm looking at 1.66.
That's why I said 1.67 a while ago, and about 334,000 on the riverfront. And so 80% is going towards that 1.67, that portion is coming off. It doesn't help us fund the riverfront. It has to go towards our debt payment on the bond. So of the 334,000, which is of that number annual payment for the riverfront, we would have some funds from the TIF district coming in. Rough estimate, maybe 60,000 at the conservative number to help pay that off or pay that down, as that includes coming in. So if you go to the second page in your packet, the riverfront development, that shows you the breakdown of the funding. I rounded just for sake for 23 million, but we had 10.4 million in the federal build grant, 3.5 million state grant in fiscal year 2020, and then for next fiscal year, we anticipate adding another $1 million. We'd have 3.5 million for those two bonds. For what's in this year's budget and what was in the 2020 budget. In 26 budget, 1.1, and then 4.5 million out of that bond that I was just talking about.
Gets us to what we need.
Right, on that side. And then, if you look at the Paducah Sports Park, that last page, and if you looked at a construction total cost of $70 million, the city's portion of that would be $35 million. The 2020 bond that we have already taken out, and we have that money set aside, 12.5 of that was earmarked for our first tranche towards the project, and that's where I was getting to that delta of using the $25 million total. We had 12.5, and the county had 12.5, and so that would require that 22.5 on the bond issuance there.
So let me make a point, or let me ask a question and make a point. So far, we voted on the sports complex for $65 million. And so we're anticipating another $5 million to tear down the grandstands and build the entranceway. I guess that could be 4.1, it could be 5.3. We don't know what it would be. Is that correct?
Right now, it's estimated to be a little more than $4 million, but by the time it all is said and done, that's what I was just basing, $5 million,
But what we'll borrow
will be,
what we need.
yes.
So the exact numbers that you're putting up here is not necessarily what we will vote on.
When we bring a bond issuance to it, we should have a cleaner picture of what that actual number would be. Now, it's not going to change on the riverfront. It would
I
only change.
understand that. No, I understand that.
Yeah. So it may reduce a little bit, based on that, but they opened the bids last week, I think, or the week before on the demolition of the grandstand.
And were they favorable?
Very favorable. They're evaluating them, to see, but two of them were less than $100,000.
Okay.
A lot of steel in that building.
So we just, for beginning the discussion, we would also, going forward is look at, trying to align our debt payments up with the counties on the same way on the bond issue, because we are getting that 80% back in from the Sports Tourism Commission. So we're getting that at the same time. And there is a potential that we may have to split and do 2 bond issuances out to keep that, the one on the riverfront, so we don't jeopardize being able to use TIF, the TIF funding towards that. I don't know, John, did I miss anything? I'm sure I did, but.
Right on.
So
Okay,
tonight's just for
questions?
discussion,
We
just
all
to get it
good?
out there.
So, really, this was just our first discussion on this, on this whole bonding issue, and to try to help make sure all of us understand, what's coming down the pike. Okay, that's all we have on the agenda. City Manager, any comments?
Just what, we talked about this, and again, for Mayor Dotson coming over and joining us, that was special. Tonight, our members of our team from Parks and Rec Department are getting some awards also, and we'll be bringing that information to you. They get one related to the Veterans Day Parade, and then also getting recognized at the state level for department level award. And so, we're excited about that as well.
Yeah, just since you brought up Veterans Day Parade, we've been working on this veterans recruitment initiative from Fort Campbell, and one of the things that came up in our last discussion was that, one community was kind of tying in their Veterans Day Parade with their recruitment activities. So I'm going to be meeting with the committee that organizes the Veterans Parade in hopefully the next couple of 3 weeks, and talk about, what we might do next year that could tie into some of these recruitment activities for Fort Campbell. So that's on the horizon. So, okay, nothing more from me. Comments from city commissioners? None? Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
Yeah.